Hello and welcome to Odds on Europa League Matchday 2. Let's analyze the best games we have on Thursday with Alvaro Romeo, Dani Fisichella. Hello. And we have really good games and important teams in crisis in Europe. For instance, Ajax or Olympique Marseille. So a lot to talk about with Alvaro, with Dani, with you guys. Remember to leave your comments as always. And don't forget, press the like and subscribe. And now let's go on with the show. Also, remember that we have a special offer with 1xBet. So if you register with our promo code, you have the link in the description. You can get up to 130% for your welcome bonus. Let's start. Guys, 8 best games, and you can trust me, there are good games in this Thursday in Europe. Our trip starts in Germany in the Black Forest Group A. We have Freiburg, West Ham. This is a very good game. Actually, both teams won in the opening match day, and Freiburg is starting to be a little bit better, Alvaro, also in the Bundesliga, keeping clean sheets. Last season, they were very good defensively, and this West Ham is also way better than the West Ham we saw last season, apart from being a pain in the ass against the big guns in the Premier League. They are also beating the small teams like Sheffield United, for instance.
They are, and this weekend they beat them 2-0. So West Ham is in a good moment right now. They've got 13 points in the league, and they have scored 13 goals, which is a very good average, because following this average and this ratio, they will end up the Premier League season with over 80 goals, which would be incredible. So they are scoring about 2 goals per game. I think that a few players are playing really well. Jarrod Bowen had an excellent spring. His coronation was the Conference League final. And right now in the Premier League, he's playing very well as well. He has been involved in 8 goals in his last 9 Premier League appearances. So we're counting a little bit of last season too, just to produce or to manufacture this stat. Then there are players who are working very well in attack, and players that I didn't know that they could attack that well. For example, Vladimir Kufal, a footballer that I like, but sometimes he hasn't had the contribution up front that some other fullbacks has. Vladimir Kufal has given 3 assists in 3 straight Premier League games as well. So, things are working, clicking. In midfield, they got plenty of quality. I think that David Moyes, and this is something that our colleague Tom Rennie says a lot, David Moyes has found or has understood finally that Thomas Soucek is rather a Fellaini than a holding midfielder, and he's getting more freedom to go up front as well. And, this is paying dividends for West Ham United too. And this is a team that doesn't actually deceive anybody. I mean, West Ham United are not about possession. David Moyes couldn't care less. I mean, he has coached 900 games in the league, so at this stage of his career, he doesn't want to please anybody. West Ham United is the 17th in the possession rankings in the Premier League, and they are the 13th in shots produced, and yet they are in the top half of the table, and they are doing very well with their own style. They are playing in Germany against Freiburg. I mean, Freiburg had an average start, but they are close to European places, despite having a negative goal difference. They have scored only 7 goals in 6 games, which is not a lot. But, apart from the heavy defeat against Stuttgart, 5-0, they have been rather solid, I would say. Then when they play at home, they tend to score. Maybe not many, but they score, because they have played 6 home games this season, and they have scored in all of them. They have changed the system a little bit. Now they play with 3 centre-backs, and the system is kind of working for them. Perhaps it's still work in progress. But for this game, look, there are good markets here. Whoever wins will have done half the job, by the way. And I think that an Asian handicap plus 0.25 for West Ham will be good. 166. I like as well Jarrod Bowen to score, because he's in a good run, and that pays 4.2. But if I have to then make a decision between the over and under, I will go for over 2.5 goals. I think that this is something that is likely to happen. It doesn't pay a lot, 165, but yeah, I think that this is likely to happen.
Well, we saw goals, Dani, in the first game with Freiburg in this Europa League against Olympiacos, and you know very well this player, Grifo, one of the stars of Freiburg, scored one of the goals.
Scored again, gets called regularly for the Italian national team. Never quite produced for Italy, but he scored again at the weekend. Yes, and Freiburg are in a good moment. They're unbeaten in the last 7 Europa League group stage games. They're building a good experience. And yes, I think they're going to pose some threat to West Ham, who, by the way, have also got a decent European pedigree. They won 15 of the last 16 European games, West Ham, of course, including the Conference League final. So, you know, in a year and a half, David Moyes has given them a lot of experience in Europe. And yes, I totally agree with Alvaro. Moyes deserves some credit because he has reinvented the squad after the sale of Rice and is integrating new player. And yes, probably we still have to see a little bit more from Kudus, who they signed from Ajax. Will that give them even more goals? But, you know, 6 wins in 8 games so far in the season. It's very, very positive. Probably the only negative thing is against Sheffield United, they should have scored more goals. They only scored 2, had more chances to score. Jarrod Bowen, really confident, directly involved in 8 goals in the last 9 Premier League games. And yes, I think West Ham are gonna be hard to beat. The curious things about David Moyes is that his away record against top sides in the Premier League, it's bad. He played 72 games against Liverpool, Man United, Arsenal, and Chelsea, and never won away. His teams are often on the back foot when they play against top sides, but Freiburg is not to that caliber, and I think West Ham will be able to manage the game well. I'm going to go for a X2 double chance, so West Ham not to lose in Germany, and over 1.5 goals, because I think both teams have got plenty of goals in them, even with changes, and that pays 187.
All right, you both expect goals in this group. In Serbia, we have Baka Topola, Olympiacos, both with 0 points, so especially for Olympiacos, a team that we expect at least to put a fight and try to qualify. They need to get the 3 points. Let's jump into Group B, the group of death in this Europa League. First stop in Greece, AEK Athens, Ajax. Ajax, Dani, is not a turmoil, is not a scandal, a crisis. I think it's deeper and deeper and deeper. They cannot see the bottom of this situation. 15th in the Eredivisie, only 5 points. They didn't play at the weekend. Last time we saw them in the pitch was a 4-0 at home against Feyenoord. At least in the Europa League, they grabbed a point against Olympique Marseille. And perhaps this AEK Athens could be the big surprise in this group, because with the victory in Brighton, now they have a lot of options to qualify.
Well, they certainly surprised Brighton, who we thought were going to win against them, but they were very smart. Despite keeping the ball only for 24% of the time, they were always threatening when they were going forward. They were really good and precise with their finishing, and they got 3 consecutive wins now. The team managed by Almeida, Matias Almeida, beat Panathinaikos recently, unbeaten in 5, drew with Olympiacos. So yeah, definitely a force to be reckoned. Scoring 9 out of 10 games this season. They lost to Antwerp in stoppage time, so I think they have raised the level a lot from last season when they won the Greek league after such a long time. They're winless in 12 domestic Europa League games, though, AEK Athens, whereas Ajax got a better record in the competition. Well, of course, they used to play in the Champions League, but in the Europa League, Ajax have only lost 2 of the last 19 in group stages. But what's happening with Ajax? Ajax is a young side that changed a lot. 12, 13 players turnover over the summer, a new manager. So it's being rebuilt. And I think it's going to take time. And they're going to try and do it the Ajax way, playing expansive football, playing offensive. But of course, when you got a young, unexperienced squad, it might happen that you get turned over quickly. They only kept 1 clean sheet in the last 11 games. Ajax, they are no longer the force they used to be, but I'm sure they will come back stronger. Are they going to lose this one? I don't see them getting beaten by AEK Athens. I think AEK Athens were good against Brighton, but somehow they rode the luck a little bit. I like the Asian handicap, plus 0.25 for Ajax, that pays 2, which means if they win, you win. But if they draw, you win half a stake, and that's a 2. That's doubling your money, so you're going to win at least 0.5.
Well, you have to be very brave to trust Ajax in these circumstances, Alvaro.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I don't know if Daniele, you haven't mentioned Sven Mislintat, no? He was also sacked last week as the Ajax sporting director due to a conflict of interest. And, Ajax, they have lost some important people as well in the board. I mean, it's not that it matters so much now because it's not summer anymore and signings are not done right now until winter. But it was funny because this man, he was also at Arsenal and he didn't leave a great legacy in there, missing that. And last summer, he tried to apply his philosophy into Ajax, and it hasn't worked because basically this man signs according to statistics and software that he believes in, and he brought many players for a very high price, and these players are not delivering. So this has been one of the reasons behind Ajax big failure so far, that they have abandoned a little bit their philosophy. They have given a lot of power to this man, to missing that, and he's been so bad that he's been sacked already because one of his the players he brought, apparently, well, there was a conflict of interest between him, the agent, and the player himself. But yeah, I mean, this is an Ajax side that has lost over the last 2 years. Aller, Anthony, Lisandro Martinez, Onana, Kudus, Timber, Klaassen, Dusan Tadic. It's very difficult to rebuild if you keep on losing players like this. Edson Alvarez is in West Ham United too. But, this season has been a disaster. I mean, because we know that Ajax loses players, but normally they rebuild more or less okay. But this season they have recorded only 2 wins. 2 wins in total is nothing. They did a big investment. And, maybe playing away helps to them because at home the games have been a disaster. The last time they lost to Feyenoord 4-0, the game had to be suspended midway through the game, and they are playing in Athens. Athens had a superb week 10 days ago because they drew with Olympiacos, then they beat Brighton, and then they beat Panathinaikos. But then yesterday they lost in Atromitos. So, this is a side that won the Greek Super League last year, but they really have to start doing the easy things because otherwise, the only aspiration they could have right now is to qualify for that end of the season playoff. But, AEK, they have to be a little bit better and win the winnable games. Sorry, they lost to Ofi, not to Atromitos, to Ofi. Still, losing to Ofi at Crete is something that they cannot afford. AEK, they haven't had any clean sheet this season, by the way. So that's why I'm going to back the over 2.5 goals market again, 167. But there is one that I really like here. In the same way that AEK against Brighton and Brighton against AEK were particularly prolific in the second half of that game too, I'm going to go for over 1.5 goals in the second half in this game, 185.
All right, goals in Athens, and if Ajax are in crisis, we can say exactly the same about Olympique Marseille. The other game in this group is Marseille-Brighton. Marcelino is history, but still the results are not arriving to the Velodrome. Lost to Monaco, lost to PSG. We have now Gennaro Gattuso there, so no victories in the last 5 games. In the last video, Alvaro, you told me that Brighton was your favorite team in Europe. Since then, 3 defeats in the last 4 games. At the weekend, we all know 6-1 against Aston Villa.
Yeah, very bad first half for Brighton against Aston Villa. They try to play from the back as they do. They do that very well. They've got this secret to play from the back that didn't work against Aston Villa, but they won't stop doing this. In fact, if you go to the Europa League stats and you check who are the players who have given more passes in the first game in Matchday 1, among the top 3, 2 are Brighton players, and they are both defenders, Igor Julio and Van Hecke. So Brighton is not going to stop doing that. Against Aston Villa, they made mistakes, yes, and then Aston Villa capitalized very well their chances. A couple of goals from Aston Villa, in all fairness, they were a little bit lucky because they came after deflections, but still, I'm sure that De Zerbi is more aware now than he was 2 weeks ago about the extent of the rotations he can do. Because if you rotate massively, it's not going to work as well. So good thing that Ansu Fati scored against Aston Villa. This is obviously good for him to build up the confidence. And I'm going to back Brighton to win again. I'm going to back them. I mean, I think they are a better side than Olympique Marseille. It's true that Brighton is going through a difficult period right now in the last 10 days. But Marseille, I mean, they've got 2 defeats in a row. They are winless in 5. And it's true that in the first game of the competition, Europa League, their forwards, they were very busy and very active because between Ounahi and Aubameyang, they recorded 14 attempts. Between them both, 8 shots on target. It's pretty decent. They have tried to attack. I'm sure that Gattuso will instill or try to instill a winning mentality. But Brighton and Hove Albion is a complete unit right now. So I'm going to back Brighton in various ways, and then you take the one you like. I mean, Brighton to win 235, it is for me. It is for me. But since my job is also finding good odds for everyone, I will flag that a draw no bet for Brighton pays 180, and that Brighton to score over 1.5 goals, something that I see happening because Marseille's defense has been really bad, doubles up your bet. So Brighton to score over 1.5 goals, 2.
Well, Alvaro trusts Brighton. Gattuso, once upon a time, Dani said in Greece, sometimes good, sometimes shit. Now it's shit with Olympique Marseille, but I think it's a good city, a good atmosphere for Gennaro Gattuso. I'm looking forward to seeing him.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not sure is a match made in heaven, but they chose him, and Gattuso. I think this is almost his last chance to revitalize his career as a manager. Otherwise, the next step is Saudi Arabia, really, because he managed very good teams in his career, and he hasn't quite delivered. I think Napoli could have done a better job. But it's an Italian derby. The Zerbi against Gattuso. I know you will not remember, but back in 2016, they faced each other in the final of the Serie C playoff. They got both sent off. Gattuso got allegedly a bottle thrown to his head in the stadium of Foggia. He was managing Pisa, and maybe faked an injury. It's going to be probably incandescent. What worries me a little bit from De Zerbi is the fact that he said after the game against Aston Villa that they are not ready to play every 3 days, and this maybe might underpin some reflection that perhaps last season Brighton overachieved slightly. They were really good, but it is a team that concede a lot of goals, score a lot of goals. Things can go wrong for them in games, and maybe last season qualifying for Europe, maybe they qualify for Europe a year too early. I don't know, but I think of the defeats of this week, the one that is going to hurt more Brighton is the one in the League Cup, I guess, against Chelsea, because that was a title, a cup that probably they could have really challenged for, and maybe they see Europe as a bonus. Well, it's always going to be entertaining with Brighton. It's always going to be goals. They haven't kept a clean sheet in Premier League in 11 games, but they've also scored in the last 23 games. So normally, it's above to score and over 2.5. And also, Marseille, as you mentioned, the defense and the scoring department, they're working. Of course, the defense, not so much, but they do score. They conceded 10 in the last 3 games. They came twice from behind against Ajax. They got a player in Aubameyang that I think in the Europa League can still play his part. He scored 26 goals in the Europa League. Second best goal scorer of the competition. If you want a bit of trivia, you'll have to name me the top goal scorer and the goal scorer. Falcao. But who's the other guy who scored 26 goals in the Europa League? You should know, Alvaro.
Aritz Aduriz.
There we go.
No, but
He's done his research.
Mate, the bloody Falcao destroyed us in a final.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. No, but
I remember. What a player, by the way.
No, but it was fantastic. But some players are made for that competition. Well, Falcao played for great teams, of course, for Porto, for Atletico Madrid. But Aduriz, I mean, he was made for the Europa League, and maybe Aubameyang does the same idea. Anyway, to come back to the betting, over 2.5 goals and both to score. 260 could be Brighton winning 2-1, 3-1, 3-2. Yeah, but I think it's both to score. But look at the touchline between the Zerbi and Gattuso.
Okay, goals. Let's jump into Group C. Here we have Aris Limassol, Glasgow Rangers, and our stop is going to be in the Benito Villamarín, Seville, Betis, Sparta Prague. Betis, they lost away in a hopeful game against Rangers, so they must win this one against Sparta Prague, a team that won, Dani, at home against Aris, and they are first in the Czech league. They beat Victoria Pilsen at the weekend, so it looks like they are the best team right now in the Czech Republic again.
Betis unbeaten in 3 games, domestically in 4, if we take into account the domestic competition, but they were deservedly beaten by Rangers, a side that is in crisis. They just sacked the manager, Ranger, Michael Beale. And, I think doesn't really speak very well about Betis. They had a good first half, but in the end, they were beaten again. The Rangers were really, really good at Ibrox, despite all their problems. And actually, Rangers were missing a few players. I think Betis technically is much better than Sparta Prague, the likes of Luis Enrique, Isco. I think they're going to dominate the game. The question is whether they can keep a clean sheet against a side that is unbeaten in 8 games, Sparta Prague, and they are capable of very good efforts in Europe. They produce an amazing comeback, winning 4-1 against Dinamo Zagreb at home after having lost the reverse fixtures 3-1. They lost on penalties to Copenhagen in the Champions League qualifiers, where they conceded 3. Their defense is not great. Away from home, 0-0 against Copenhagen, lost 3-1 in Zagreb, as I said. Only won one of the last 17 away games in Europe, Sparta Prague. So it's difficult that they're going to go to the Benito Villamarín and take 3 points. They scored all 3 goals against Aris from dead ball situations, and I found an amazing stat. They score 89 goals in the Europa League, 30 of them from set pieces or penalties.
Yes.
It's just amazing. So I don't know, Alvaro, how good that Betis are defending set pieces, but that could be bad. So maybe my pick might not land. Betis to win 2-0 for me, 1-0, 2-0, but Betis to win 2-0, that pays 340. Let's see how good at defending corners are.
And there is some hype in Betis, Alvaro, about a young player, Hassan Diao.
Yes, well, he's scoring goals. He's 18 years old, born in Senegal, I believe, but he moved to Spain when he was 2 years old. Well, his parents moved there with him. And, I think that Betis needed a player like this. Look, last season, we could see that Betis' attacking line was getting either too veteran or perhaps just there was nothing else for the strikers to give. The likes of William José, Borja Iglesias, they are good, they are okay. But, I have the feeling that Betis needed something more. Ayoce Perez is not that something more, even though his mobility is pretty good, but I think that he is not a very good scorer. And Betis has found 2 very good forwards for this season. Apart from Luis Enrique, who is a very fast player that brought last season something different to Betis, skills, pace, step-overs, dribbling on the right sector. I think that Betis needed more of those players. And they've got Abde, who scored the other day, and Abde is playing really well. And they got Hassan Diao, a footballer who is not only scoring goals, but also he's capable of doing magic in some other areas of the pitch. For example, the other day, he threw a beautiful nutmeg in the halfway line. So, I think that Betis needed these kind of players because in the Europa League, over the last years, they have suffered a little bit with the pace of the game. Betis has been normally about keeping it slow, with midfielders like, for example, Guido Rodriguez, Guardado, that they are not particularly mobile, but they are good on the ball. And, having these players for Betis is a blessing. Finally, they've got some speed up front. Altogether with Isco, who's got the old profile of Guardado and Guido and Rodri, slower, but still good on the ball. Well, it's a good mix for Betis. Speed up front and then quality in midfield. The only thing is that Daniele has said the Sparta Prague, they are very good when it comes to set pieces, and that's correct. I mean, the 3 goals against Aris Limassol came from set pieces in the match day one, and Betis will have to be very careful with that because Betis defensively is not pretty good. I think that Claudio Bravo and the 4 men in defense, they have been rather, I would say, average this season. Maybe Claudio Bravo has been better than the defense, but the defense itself has been really poor. And I think that we could see that, for example, in games against Barcelona, in which Betis was even poorer than Royal Antwerp, because Barcelona played back-to-back games against Betis and Royal Antwerp, and I was like, at least Royal Antwerp has a better defender or better defense than Betis right now. But let's see. I think that they are improving. The return of William Carvalho for Betis is going to be so important because he helps in defense and also brings some physicality in midfield, and I think that that's going to help the whole structure a lot. Betis has a margin to improve, that's for sure. I want to see if Assane Diao can continue with his scoring record, but Assane Diao to score, given that he's on a high, that pays 3.3. I like it, but I'm going to back Betis to win. Really, Betis to win 181 in this game. And if you think that, this is a bit risky because in the set pieces, Prague has been very good and Betis has been very, very poor, then why not a nice handicap minus 0.25 for Betis, 160? But I prefer Betis to win.
All right. Well, they have to because they lost against Rangers with 0 points. If they want to qualify, they have to win this one. Let's jump into Group D. Here we have one of the most interesting games, I believe, on Thursday. Sporting Lisbon, Atalanta. Sporting, they are topping the Portuguese league and they beat Sturm Graz. Atalanta, they beat Rakov Czestochowa. And they had kept 4 consecutive clean sheets, Alvaro, including against Juventus at the weekend.
I know. However, I don't know. I have the temptation to go for the goals market here. Both teams to score 170. I like it. Or even over 2.5 goals, 183. I think is good. But, from all the games, if you have like strong opinions about the Sporting Club Portugal or Atalanta, this game is very inviting because the odds for either way to win are pretty decent. In my case, I tend to back Sporting Club Portugal just on the basis of the form they have had this season. It pays 233 for them to win, by the way. Look, this season, they are topping Portuguese football, as you said, Edu. It was 862 days that they didn't top the league. They haven't suffered any defeat in the league so far. And there is a very good vibe about them. The home attendances have been excellent this season because there is a feeling that with Ruben Amorim, they can regain silverware again after last season's perhaps disappointing performances at the end of the season. Then, they've got their issues in defense because Sebastián Coates, one of the important players, the Uruguayan, is going to be out for a month. And Saint-Just, the Dutch defender, will return after the international break. So over there, I think that the Sporting Club Portugal may suffer a little bit in defense, and that's why that sends me towards the goals market. They got a player that I really like, Marcus Edwards. He can be key to break the pressure of Atalanta because Atalanta's pressure is always fantastic. And if you have a ball carrier and a dribbler like Marcus Edwards, who can dribble past in any sector area of the pitch, a player like this is very helpful against the team of Gasperini. When it comes to Atalanta, Daniele will explain it better, but I still don't understand why the Catelere is still playing football at a high level after his performances for Milan, even though he scored a header for Atalanta in match day 1 in the Europa League. But I think that in Italy, he has become a little bit of a criticized man, punching back in a way for the amount of chances he misses. It's incredible. But well, let's see how it goes. Maybe Betis to score 170, but if I have to incline myself for somebody winning, it has to be a Sporting Club de Portugal on the basis of how good they have done at the beginning of the season.
Well, he's scored goals even in Serie A, Dani, de Catelare.
2 goals and 2 assists so far this season. The Catelare has been good, been decent. If he play from the start, the partnership with Lookman is good. It is a player that still needs to mature. Last season, I know he became a meme at Milan, probably because of the huge expectation he came with. But it seems like at Atalanta and Bergamo is the right environment for him. Gasperini is renowned for adding value to players. He's only on loan. If he does well there, Milan have got big assets in the hands. Look, adapting to Serie A from the Belgian league is not easy. But I think this is a good season so far for the Catelare. In terms of mark, I'll give him 6.5 out of 10. Yes, he misses a few goals, but it's been decent. And Atalanta overall have been really good, have been really solid. It has changed during the years. 3, 4, 5 years ago, when they reached the quarterfinals against PSG, they were flamboyant, they were reckless, they were like Brighton. Okay, let's put it that way. But it has changed. Gasperini has been very good at evolving and understanding that he needs to deploy sometimes a slightly higher line, then going man-to-man all over the pitch is not beneficial, especially if you can't count on the genius or on the conversion rate of players like Muriel is not quite at his best. They haven't got Zapata anymore. They haven't got Ilic, Papu Gomez. So they become much more workmanlike. Atalanta, but 4 consecutive clean sheets. And against Juventus, they were the only side who tried to win that game. Juventus offered nothing, didn't want to win the game. They were happy with the 0-0. And if it wasn't for a massive save from Szczesny and the woodwork, Atalanta would have snatched it. In the second half, Atalanta against Juventus had 11 shots, and also some good substitutions impacted the game, the likes of Bakker, Holm. They're still without Scamacca and Touré, the 2 biggest signing of the season. So credit to them. Scamacca should be back soon, by the way. Sporting, bad record against the Italian side, only won 3 of the last 29 against the Italian side, but unbeaten at home in 6 games. They needed a late goal to beat Sturm Graz. At home, Sporting in the Europa League are decent. Unbeaten in 7 games in the Europa League at home. Last season against Arsenal, they drew. They deserve to win. They also drew against Juventus. I like the goals here. Over 1 goal in the first half, 186. If there's only 1 goal in the first half, you get your money back.
You mentioned Papu Gomez, now busy dancing with Galliani.
He's back at Monza. They won yesterday. They introduced him.
Again, I saw the dance with Galliani.
I saw the dance. Galliani wasn't quite as sharp. But
he tried.
Papu Gomez is still a player, and in Monza, it's perfect.
Who dances better, Galliani or Theresa May?
I haven't seen Theresa May.
One of my
Theresa May, yeah. The
one
robot
of my
dance.
favorite characters in football. Galliani always behind Berlusconi. Well, in this group, you don't have to analyze, but we also have Rakov Czestochowa against Sturm Graz. If someone wants to watch it. And Group E, we have to stop at Anfield, of course. Liverpool, Union St-Gillois. I guess people are not very happy in Liverpool these days, Dani, about being robbed. In North London, they are back in the Europa League. Always entertaining this Liverpool, always scoring goals, resilient, no matter if they are robbed, if they are playing with 10 men, if they concede goals, they always come back. They show it also in the Europa League against Lask. So I expect goals again in Anfield.
Yeah, obviously Liverpool defeated as Spurs. It all went down to the VAR mistake. It's a human mistake. Poor refereeing during the game anyway. So Liverpool are really, really upset. But this could be one of those defeats that, if it's used well, could be given Liverpool even more confidence. They were playing with 9 men for 20 minutes against Spurs, and I know Alvaro must have watched the game. I didn't see a siege. I didn't see many attacks from Spurs. Liverpool were good with with 9 men. Yeah, they conceded with an own goal, unlucky, a little bit clumsy, maybe. But they resisted, and I think those kind of things, they give you a lot of confidence. Of course, the results didn't go this way. I read someone on social media suggesting Liverpool with 9 men, they were better than Manchester United with 11 men. But yeah, I think they were good at the weekend. The only thing that concerns me a little bit about Liverpool, they conceded first in 8 of the last 9 games. Sorry, they conceded first in 7 out of 9 and conceded in 8 of the last 9. Only kept 1 clean sheet. But it is a team that is got reaction in them. So even because they concede in 7 out of 9 games the first goal, they only lost 1 game. They got a strong bench. This is an historic occasion for Union St-Gillois, who in the last year, they've been everywhere. They've been to Ibrox, Berlin, Braga, Leverkusen. So it is a team that is really on the up, but they changed a lot in the summer. Again, they sold everyone. Look at what Victor Boniface is doing at Bayer Leverkusen, and now they scouted again. Now they got Tamura scoring the goals, who they signed from Lugano. They are top of the league in Belgium. I think last season they were the best side in Belgium. They should have won the league. Remain a very high-scoring side with Alexander Blessin. They play expansive football. 5 games so far have been both to score. Now the only question mark is, are they gonna be sucked in by the Anfield fear? I remember last season they went to Ibrox and lost 3-0 in the Champions League playoff, but it was a playoff game. The stakes maybe are not so high at the moment. Last season, by the way, Union St-Gillois 5 away games in the Europa League, unbeaten. Liverpool only lost 1 of the last 21 Europa League home games. I'm sorry for the Union St-Gillois supporters and my friends. Liverpool has an handicap -2, 201.
And your friend, but we should expect a turnover, no, from Klopp, Alvaro, in an easy game at home.
This is my favorite game of the show. I'm going to give you my odds, first of all. Liverpool to win the second half is going to be my safe bet. It pays 140. Over 1.5 goals in the second half, 167. Why do I go for this? Because Liverpool starts the game slowly. In fact, they are the team in the Premier League who have gained more points from losing positions. So that, may make you think that the Union St-Gillois scoring first can be an interesting thing, because Liverpool have been conceding early in the game. The Belgian side to score first is 450, and not for me, but anyway, since Liverpool are the team that gets more points from losing positions, it's worth mentioning. Liverpool to score over 2.5 goals, 180, because Liverpool is the highest scoring side right now. And then Darwin Núñez to score, 191. Those will be my preferred odds here. Why Darwin Núñez to score? Number 1, because he's playing in the Europa League, he's starting games. And number 2, because the other day against Spurs, he was going to come in, but then the second send-off obliged Jurgen Klopp to change his idea, to change his mind, and not to bring in Darwin Núñez. So I'm sure that Darwin is going to be compensated in this game, and he's going to start. This game, by the way, is the game for the McAllisters, because Alexis and Kevin McAllister are having a reunion. One plays for Liverpool, the other one plays for Union St-Gillois. And, that's going to be pretty emotional, I guess. So, yeah, those are my bets for this game.
Okay, in this group also Toulouse, Lask, of course, Liverpool big favorites to win the group. Group F, this one should be much more open. Villarreal Gan is our game. Villarreal also looking really bad this season. They changed the manager. Setien is not there, but Pacheta is not doing the things better. Alvaro, they were even lucky to get a point against Getafe, where they deserve to lose. 4 winless games in all competitions, lost to Panathinaikos. So everything is bad, and then they host Gan. No defeats this season yet, but it's a team that is way stronger when they play at home in Rawson Park.
Yes, exactly. And Villarreal is stronger at home too. And let me tell you something about this weekend. I think that Villarreal should take the positives, because they were playing with 10 men for a long time against Getafe away, and they managed to get a point. It wasn't that bad. And then the goalkeeper Jorgensen did very well. He has been a little bit contested by the fans of Villarreal, because some think that Villarreal doesn't have a top goalkeeper. But Jorgensen did a very good job against Getafe. And one thing that strikes me is that Jorgensen wasted up to 10 minutes with goal kicks. So this is something that Emery was doing a lot, with Jerónimo Rulli keeping a lot of the ball. And it looks like Pacheta, in some different way, is telling Jorgensen, you know, to take his time. Villarreal doesn't need fast games. In fact, they need speculative, slow games. But anyway, I'm going to back them here. Villarreal to win 2-5. Rennes is coming in an okay moment. In the first game, they scored 3 goals. Let's don't forget these things. But, you know, Villarreal are playing at home. They need a win. Pacheta needs a win as well, because he hasn't had a dreamt start as a Villarreal manager. So, you know, Villarreal to win 2-5 is fine. But since this is a team that this season haven't given a lot of guarantees, and then up front, they are struggling to score goals, I'm going to handicap them a little bit, just to be on the safe side. So ACN handicap minus 0.25 for Villarreal, 173. If they draw, you suffer half a lose, and if they win, you win your stake.
And Rennes, Dani, they are coming from on a hype because they won the derby against Nantes at the weekend.
Unbeaten 5 draws in the league. The only 2 unbeaten teams in France alongside Nice. A solid squad, very energetic, the team that has recovered most balls in attacking position in match day 1 of the Europa League. They sold many players in the summer, Girassi, Doku, Magiro, Gofuccio, but enriched by Matic. So there's been a few changes over there. It's one to watch. Rennes always performs well in Europe. And, you know, my last encounter with Villarreal was when I watched them play against Rayo Vallecano. They seem to me a team that has passed its best. I mean, they still got good players. Parejo, obviously got Jeremy Pino, Baena is a young player. He will play this one. He's got sent off against Getafe, as Alvaro mentioned. But, you know, still playing with Albiol, Alberto Moreno. They seem to me a team that goes at a different rhythm, sometimes a bit slow, keeps the ball, but not really threatening. Sorloth gets the goal. But yeah,
Dani, the problem is that they have invested as well. That's the problem, because they bought Brereton Diaz, and they did some things that didn't make any sense this summer, in my opinion. They lost Nico Jackson and they got for Sorloth. You know,
yeah.
The recruitment hasn't been great. Villarreal was very good at that, but the recruitment has been a little bit poor.
Yeah, if you look at that team that beat Juventus 2 years ago in the quarterfinals of the Champions League, you think, well, this team is not. If you look name by name, I think Gerard Moreno wasn't even playing that game. You don't think he's better, but yeah, they kind of lost the stride a little bit. They lost the pedigree. But yeah, last time they played and won the Europa League, they won all the 7 home matches, Villarreal, but they were beaten by Panathinaikos, who's not an amazing side. I think Rennes are not going to lose this one. X2, 185.
Okay, in this group, as Dani mentioned, we have Panathinaikos traveling to Haifa, to Israel, Maccabi Haifa, Panathinaikos. Next group, we are going to skip it, Group G, even if we have Roma Servette, but the odds are very poor. And we are going to stop in Group H to talk about Xabi Alonso's Leverkusen traveling to Norway, to Molde. Nice to see Molde in European competitions again. And Dani, they lost to Karabakh in the first match day. It's a team that played in the Champions League playoff. They lost to Galatasaray, but they scored in both games. But this Leverkusen, they look unstoppable. And Leverkusen to win is 1.5. It's not bad at all.
With the Real Madrid new manager, right? Xabi Alonso.
Next manager.
Next manager.
To Carlo Ancelotti.
So yeah, let's wait for Carlo Ancelotti to leave. Leverkusen have won 9 out of 11 Europa League group stage games. They are probably one of the dark horses of this competition. They had such an amazing start of the season, unbeaten so far, top of the Bundesliga, top scorers in the Bundesliga with Bayern, 20 goals scored. A lot has changed under Xabi Alonso when he was hired last season, midway through the Champions League campaign. They got a stronger mentality. The first thing that Alonso did was to adjust the defense. They made them more solid, and then trying to play expansive football and attacking. And as I mentioned, Victor Boniface, what a signing this has been from Union St-Gillois. I watched him last season. I thought the Italian team should get on him. I think he's a mini Osimhen in the making. And also they got probably the best under 21 years old in Europe, Florian Wirtz, 9 goals, 9 assists in Europa League. It only keeps getting better and better. Ezequiel Palacios in midfield, World Cup winner with Argentina, is a solid side. It all depends how many changes they're going to make, because obviously being top of the Bundesliga might play on their mind a little bit. Molde played 23 games in Norway, so a lot of games under the belt at the beginning of the season, scored 52, fifth in the table, lost the 3 European games, and they lost 1-0 to Karabag. I think Leverkusen are going to keep scoring and going to keep winning. Leverkusen win and over 2.5 goals, 231.
Bonifaci's 190, not bad for being a mini Osimhen.
Yes, it's very good. But mini in the sense that he's an Osimhen in the making. Let's put it down.
Well, Alvaro, Leverkusen to win the Europa League, as Dani was suggesting about being the dark horse, is 17 right now.
That's a lot.
Yeah, but it's never for me, because, then the Champions League sides go down to the Europa League and the whole thing changes. And who knows, maybe a side like Newcastle United or Milan plays the Europa League, and then the whole situation, the landscape changes, But I will say that there are 3 teams in Europe that are worth watching right now. One is Girona, the other one is Brighton, and the other one is Bayer Leverkusen. And Bayer Leverkusen probably is the best of them. I mean, according to their numbers, they have match up with Bayern in all those parameters that make a team good, like shots produced, the sprints, possession. I mean, they are very similar to Bayern in the Bundesliga. With that, they are top in the table. They have scored 20 goals. And there is something that is very healthy, in my opinion, for a football club. They've got 10 different scorers this season. So it's not a one-man show, And, it's a brilliant side right now, and they are on a hype. And, I don't have any reason not to back them, and I'm going to back them, with the following odds. There are 2 games in this show that I really like, Liverpool game and Bayer Leverkusen game. So I'm going to go for the following with Bayer Leverkusen. Leverkusen to score over 1.5 goals, 144. That's not a safe bet. But anyway, the money is more or less okay for the likelihood of this to happen. But my favorites will be the following. Leverkusen to win the second half, 175. Mm-hmm. And Leverkusen to score in both halves. Not for me personally, because this one is a little bit... sometimes you start slow and then you score 3 goals in the second half and you win 3-0, but these odds don't happen. But anyway, Leverkusen to score in both halves, 2.0 is decent, it's good. But my favorite is here, Leverkusen to win the second half, 175.
Of course, Leverkusen, and Leverkusen forgive us for not analyzing the other game in this group, Haken and Karabakh, but perhaps, Alvaro, is your safe bet, Haken to win or something like this? You've already said it.
Haken to win and, Olympique Marseille.
2.6, Haken to win.
Yeah, I don't know if that qualifies as a safe bet, my friend. I'm going to, my safe bet is going to be the following. Liverpool to win the second half, 140.
And Dani, yours?
Roma, Mourinho to win 2-0 against Servette, una Murignata, 177.
Mm-hmm. Well, they won away, and that's big news for Roma. Yoraka, Dani?
Rangers Asian handicap plus 0.25 against Aris Limassol. Olympique Marseille Brighton both to score. Roma to win the first half against Servette. And Liverpool Asian handicap -1 in total. The odds 4.37.
Alvaro?
Very similar odds, 4.34 for the following. Betis to win. Asian handicap -1.5 for Liverpool. Leverkusen to win, 4.34.
Easier. Well, Dani, I think yours in the Serie A was broken by Sassuolo not scoring a goal. No?
They could score 52 shots on target, and Di Gregorio made lots of saves. And some people were saying, why do you think Sassuolo doesn't win against Monza? They beat Inter and Juve. Guys, if Sassuolo were winning every single day, they would win the Scudetto. But they are crazy. They are unpredictable. That's why.
They destroyed Juraka. Who do they think they are?
Exactly. They only beat Juventus, Inter, Milan. That's it.
Well, thank you, Alvaro. Thanks, Dani. See you this week to analyze Serie A and La Liga. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.